Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by Genesis House and the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction and recovery. Join your hosts,
the Podfather, Jersey Ed,
as they break the silence and speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, welcome to friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles, and I'm here with
Jersey Ed guys from Studio G.
G. I'm in Studio S, as in Salem, New Hampshire. This is the first. This is the Virgin podcast out of Salem, New Hampshire.
Out of the Studio S. Hey, Crossroads, how's it going,
Studio
guys?
S. And then next podcast will be in Studio C out in Chelmsford, Massachusetts.
All right. How you doing, Podfather?
Doing pretty good.
You look good.
Trying to get through this pandemic and all the changes, and oh my goodness, it's been a struggle, and I'm sure if it's a struggle for an old guy like me, it must be a struggle for a lot of people that are raising families and children. And
yeah,
boy, it's not easy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is a struggle. It's a struggle for everybody, you know, and that's what recovery brings us, and that's what that's why we're here. That's why we're help everybody. You know, I mean, our podcast has really been taking off. A lot of people listen to us, Podfather. You're famous. Actually, you were on the radio a couple weeks ago, right?
I was on the radio, a local radio station in Lowell, WCAP. I just want to give them a shout out with Warren Shaw, who's a good friend of mine. Warren owns a dairy ranch. He's probably one of the few left in Massachusetts. He's got over 80 head of milking cows and beautiful setting. I'll tell you, it's a great time of year up here in New England with all the beautiful foliage. And being on his show for an hour was good. We actually had you call in.
Yeah.
And, from Jersey or wherever your parts are.
Studio G, of course.
Yeah, Studio G.
And you guys were talking about recovery, and you were talking about this podcast, from what I remember.
That's why I went on. I wanted to go on and tout our podcast. We've been doing this a little over 2 years. I think we have a great. Well, I know we have a great podcast. We've had some great guests, but I think the content of what we speak about is life saving. When we're talking about people getting sober and staying sober, it's my life now. This is all I do. I work with people, I work with groups, I work with individuals, and it's all about sobriety, getting away from booze, drugs, and other maladies that cause people a lot of stress and sometimes cost them their lives, as you know.
Exactly. And if you have any questions and you want to get a hold of us, you can call us at 617-379-1163 or email us at help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. Also, before we get into our topic, which is going to be living in the present, you and I have we went over this. So it's a great topic. I just want to remind everybody about our Friends in Recovery online 12-step meetings, noon and 7 p.m. daily. If you go to our Friends in Recovery community support or Friends in Recovery podcast Facebook pages, all the details are there. So Podfather, you've been a guest on that. We spoke about this plenty of times, and it's just been a lifesaver. And I was on that meeting last night. That meeting last night was one of the best ones I've been to. So
it says a lot. I run a group 3 nights a week. Last night I had 14 people. Monday night I had 17, and Tuesday night I had 15. And these are people. Some of them early sobriety, some of them mid. They're past the 90 days. Eddie, when you get into recovery, it's not just putting down the booze and the drugs. We know that.
Yes.
There's a lot of work to be done. Your mind is calling for any substance that you've been addicted to 100 times an hour sometimes.
Yep.
You need to have a foundation. And the foundation that I've learned to stay sober a day at a time for 34 years. You've learned to stay sober a day at a time for 30 years. We've learned that.
26.
I'm sorry, 26.
I'm not like you, Podfather.
Yeah,
You're the man.
I threw you a few extra years.
Thanks.
You seem like an advanced guy, so I'm giving you a But
Thanks,
I really
Podfather.
believe. But don't you agree that you got to build a foundation, and that foundation has to consist of listening, shutting your mouth and listening to people that are doing it a day at a time. And this is what's beautiful about my group. I have people from all walks of life, And I got to be honest, I'm getting as much out of it as they're getting out of it. So when you say that meeting you had last night was probably one of the best ever, you must have gotten something good out of it.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. I'm telling you, Podfather, you're right. When we do this, and I was even helping a guy yesterday who was in a bad spot on the phone, and I need to hear that. You know what I mean? I need to hear that, and I get so much out of it because I never want to be where he or she was. You know what I mean? And when I get that call for help, and when I get that call for somebody to help me out, first of all, I love helping people, and you and I, we know that, and that's number one. Number two, but it helps me too. It helps me stay sober, and then on top of it all, when they come to our alumni meetings, when they get out of Genesis House or they come to our meetings during, it's just amazing. It's just amazing that, that's where the rubber meets the road when they get out and they start coming to these meetings and start working the program.
Right.
And
it's so important to get to meetings because a lot of people come to my office. They're addicted to, let's just use an example. They're addicted to opioids, fentanyl. All right. They want to stop for whatever reason. Sometimes they want to stop. Sometimes family members want them to stop. Irregardless, they want help. They go away. I send them somewhere, usually to Genesis House, if I can get them down there, because I had the best results. And I'm not just saying this, blowing smoke up anyone's behind. Yeah. I really have the best results from there. But when they get out, the aftercare is so important. You need to be reminded on a daily basis that you're an addict, you're an alcoholic, that you need to talk to other people that are going through the same thing, and do this for as long as you can. 30, 60, 90 days, you'll build a great foundation. And then from there, you continue doing what you're doing.
Well, you get all your friends. I don't mean this a pun. I mean, you get your friends in recovery, the bar that I used to go to, or the drug dealer I used to buy drugs with, they never called me. And I always say this on the meeting. They never, ever called me back, ever. Didn't know where I went. They don't care. But the minute I miss one of these meetings, or the minute that I'm not around, everybody's like, you okay? What's going on? Or miss 2 or 3 in a row. They're there wondering what's going on. Are you okay? It's an amazing community. And that even happens in the rooms. You know that. You're 30-some years sober, and you know that happens in the rooms. So living in the present, let's talk about that. The present is a gift, right, Podfather? I mean, to live in the moment.
Yeah, I think sobriety is a gift, and the old saying. There's a lot of sayings in AA. I used to read them on the wall, but that saying, "1 day at a time," 1 day at a time, and all that. What that means to me is I got to stay in the day. If I start worrying about the bills I got to pay tomorrow, or the appointments I have 3 weeks from now, or start thinking about the people that owe me money, or the people that I've had issues with in the past, or issues I've had in the past, you know what? I'm not going to stay focused on what I need to stay focused on. And that's just living the day, stay in the present.
Yeah, exactly. And future tripping is huge. I call it future tripping, just like thinking what the outcome is going to be. Let me ask you this, Podfather, thinking of the outcome, what it's going to be. Has it ever came true? Think about it. Maybe 98% of the time has not come true, right? That crazy thought, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I've worried about stuff. I've worried about medical procedures. I'm worried about medical diagnosis for myself personally. And then I've spent all this needless time worrying about children issues, grandchildren issues. And you know what? Usually all it is a bag of worry, because usually whatever happens usually comes out better than I ever imagined it would. And if something does happen, like a crisis, I'm a lot more apt to be able to deal with that now, because I have a sober mind that's working properly. And you know what? I'm good in emergencies. Being a cop for 35 years, I've been to a lot of emergencies, but I'm good in emergencies because of recovery now.
Well, you stay in the moment. You stay in the moment. You're mindful. Your mindfulness is about staying in the moment, staying right here and now. Because if we're thinking in the past, I love this saying: if you have 1 foot in the past and 1 foot in the future, you're pissing on today. You know what I mean? You're pissing on the present. And we only have right now. Right now, you and I only have right now. We're going to do the best podcast we can do. We're going to give the best information that we can do from all our our experience, strengths, and hope. Right. That's what we're doing right now. I'm not worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen over the week, whatever the case may be. I can't worry about that, because I don't know. I'm not a we can plan. There's a difference between planning and worrying, about the future.
Absolutely. And what my youngest daughter, I love all my kids are the best. I'm so full. I am blessed.
You got good kids.
But my youngest daughter said to me recently, Dad, living one day at a time really does work. It takes work to get your mindset to think that way. But if you start worrying about a medical procedure you might have 2 weeks from now, you're going for a physical, you're going to the dentist, or whatever. You have some bills that are due. You don't have enough money. So basically in early sobriety, we all have a lot of bills. But you know what? They never put you in jail for not paying your bills. And if you're worrying about that 2 weeks ahead of time, you're ruining the day you're living in. And it could be a gorgeous day, a beautiful day. You never know what's going to come your way either. Good things happen to those who wait. My mother always said that to me. Good things happen to those who wait. Yep. And you know what? It's true. Not always, but most of the time, all that worry was for naught.
Yes, exactly. And some of the things that run through my head too, Podfather, are thinking about thinking of things in the past and saying I should have, I could have. My sponsor always says should have, could have, would have. You got shit in one hand and nothing in the other. It's about the same. You know what I mean? Right. Don't worry about what you should have done. You know what I mean? And all that negative stuff, we can only have one thought in our mind at a time. And the human brain has 3,000 to 5,000 thoughts an hour. So that's about 50 to 60 thoughts a minute. Can you imagine that? And it's one thought in your brain at a time. And we have to, and early recovery, this is super hard to do. I remember early recovery that my mind was everywhere. I was living in the past. I was living in the future. I was not present. And the minute I got present, I felt better, but that was a fleeting moment. And that early recovery is tough. And whoever's listening, you're in early recovery, it's not going to be easy to do. Am I correct, Podfather?
Yeah, 100%. And to learn to live a day at a time, the serenity prayer, which you'll find in the big book and the step book, it's a very simple prayer. But that prayer basically almost keeps me grounded, and it keeps me in the day. And when I do start worrying about the future, I might think or plan for the future. But if I have a deep, deep worry about something, I process it and I tell myself, worry about it the day you have to go. Yeah. Don't waste time today. You have too many other things going on. Exactly. And I got to tell you, I sleep better. I eat better. I feel better. Sobriety is a rough road. It's not easy, especially in the beginning. So you don't want to take on too much because you'll be self-defeated. And one more thing I want to mention, a lot of times, people will have a thought. They'll think about picking up. They'll think about using. They'll be a couple of weeks sober and they'll think, that doesn't mean you're defeated. That's just your addiction kicking in. And you know what? Process that thought. Think about it. Say, all right, so I'll pick up. Then what? Well, I'm going to use. I'm going to have booze or I'm going to use drugs. But then what? Then what? Then I'm going to be right back to where I started because the progression of the disease of addiction just waits for you. And as soon as you pick up, you go right back to where you were before you came here. So process it. Keep it in the day. Don't plan. Don't think of the future. Worry about the future. You can do nothing about the past. It's long gone. It's gone.
We can learn from it. We can learn from the past. That's what we do. Exactly. And think about it. If we want to pick up and we think about the past and we think what happened last time I picked up? What happened? Did I go to jail? Did I crash my car? Did I, so you can process that. The other thing too is the minute you have, my thoughts are no good. Okay. My thoughts come in my mind and my sponsor always tells me I can't control the first thought that comes in my mind, but I can control the second, the third, the so on and so on. You know what I mean? So the minute something pops up and I say, no, that's not a right thought. That's not good. I shouldn't be wanting to do that. I shouldn't be wanting to go drink. I shouldn't want to find my drug there, whatever it is, or scream at the old lady because she's driving, 2 miles under the speed limit and I need, I'm fucking late somewhere. I'm sorry. I'm late somewhere. And, that's my thinking. But if I slow down and say, okay, well, maybe she's going somewhere. She's going to see her grandson. And, if I stop and rethink that, just change that thought for a moment, life gets better in a second's time, just changing that thought like that.
Yeah, needless worry is just needless worry.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
just it's extra weight you're carrying around for no reason, you know.
Exactly.
And driving's crazy no matter where you are. You know, people, and I can be just as much a cause of it as anyone else. You know,
Mhm.
but the bottom line is the little things. I try not to let them bother me. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it's not easy. Some days are perfect. Other days are, you got to put some effort into it. I'm very
Absolutely.
fortunate, like yourself. I stay busy. We stay busy.
Mhm.
You know, we don't really have a lot of time to be thinking negative
No.
thoughts because we're always trying to help somebody. We're going
Yeah.
in different directions. But
Exactly. Exactly.
do we have a break
Podfather,
coming up?
we're gonna take a quick break here. We'll be right back. And I want to talk about meditation, Podfather, and how that will help possibly staying in the moment
Okay.
too. All right.
All right. Friends of Recovery podcast. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
You're first. First to respond. First to put others' lives before your own. And in an emergency, you need a network that puts you first. That connects you to technology, to each other, and to other agencies. Built with and for first responders. FirstNet, the only congressionally authorized wireless network for first responders. Because putting you first is our job.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery. Welcome back to the Friends in Recovery Addiction Recovery podcast. We want to thank our sponsor, Genesis House, for supporting this show, along with individuals in recovery and the people that love them.
Hey, welcome back, Friends of Recovery podcast.com. I am the Podfather, Mike Miles.
And I'm Jersey Ed from Studio G.
Studio G.
Studio G. Podfather, real quick, I want to give our friends who I do every show because they do it to us. Sober Pod over on the West Coast is Carl, Steve, Ellen, and Chelsea. They're a great show over there. Give a listen to them. They plug us every show, every show they do. I think they go live every Saturday night, so you can check out their show. Just in any of your favorite podcast catchers, just Google Sober Pod and it'll come up. And we love those guys over there, and they love us. So we got to share the love. So
right. It's got a tattoo now. It's Sober Pod on left bicep. It looks good.
It does. I'm getting my whole back worked on next with that Sober Pod logo in the purple.
State of California in it.
Yeah, the state of California. I'll be leaving Friends in Recovery to do Sober Pod from now on. Hi everybody, welcome to Sober Pod. This is California Ed.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
enough for them. No, just kidding.
So
Podfather, before the break we were talking about living in the past, living in the present. And I brought up meditation. I said I want to get your thoughts on meditation. I meditate every morning, and I do some breathing techniques too. I use the Wim Hof app of breathing also, and that's a form of meditation. And it calms me down. It makes me feel really good. Meditating is not easy. Staying in the moment is definitely not easy when you're trying to be quiet and just get rid of your thoughts. But it helps. Here's where it helps, Podfather. It helps during the day when the crap is hitting the fan and everything's going on, and I'm trying not to think 10 steps ahead, and I'm trying to stay in the moment. Like yesterday, I walked out of the house without my trusty book that I write everything in, and my mind was all over the place. So I was in a building, and I just stopped for a moment, and I just meditated, and I said, there's no reason for me to worry about that book, no reason for me to worry about what's going on, because I'm going to do one thing at a time. I'm here for one reason and one reason only. And I took a moment to meditate, and I brought myself back to, to reality, basically. And it's not easy, but it works. It works a lot. Have you had any experience with meditation, Podfather?
Oh, absolutely. I do this exercise with clients that have panic and anxiety, and it's called Self-Hypnosis. And basically what I have them do is close their eyes, and I close my eyes. We take deep cleansing breaths slowly, breathe out, and then we count backwards from 10 to 1. I speak, they listen. Along the way, we breathe 3 times, and then when we get to 1, we open our eyes. And everybody I've ever done this with has had the same result. For that 20, 30 seconds we've been doing this, they calm down immediately. Now, when you're driving or if you're walking, you can't be closing your eyes. But the other exercise I use is I breathe in for 5 seconds slowly, deeply. I hold it for 5 seconds, and then I breathe out for 5 seconds slowly, deeply. And I do that 5 or 6 times. And I've gotten to a point where I'm breathing in for 8 seconds, holding it for 8, and letting it out for 8. And I do that maybe 3 times, and it brings me right to a place where everything's clear. I got all that oxygen intake. I've changed all the molecules in my lungs and my brain, and it's a fresh start.
Yeah.
I love it.
Why don't you demonstrate the 20-second one? Would you, maybe everybody here can close their eyes if they're not driving? And
sure. If you're driving, don't try this at home. You might get hurt. But so basically, we take a deep cleansing breath, close our eyes, and then we let it out slowly. And then I say, visualize with your eyes closed the number 10, 1 and a 0. Can you see it? Can you visualize it? Yes. Now think of the number 9. Don't forget to breathe. Think of the number 8, the number 7. Don't forget to breathe. The number 6, the number 5. One more good breath. The number 4, 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes. Now, I feel it when I was on 8. I don't know if anyone felt any different, but it takes practice.
That's
but
amazing.
I guarantee you, practice makes perfect. And if it doesn't make perfect, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for some type of gain. And I guarantee you, if you try that a couple times a day, several times a day, especially if you have anxiety or panic, this will work. Will it get rid of it? Absolutely not. I wish it would. But it's going to give you a place to go when you are overwhelmed and you don't know where to turn and you're panicking and there's nobody around.
Yeah.
You have the power to do these exercises yourself. And
Podfather, that was amazing. Just that 10 seconds and it just focusing on those numbers took me out of whatever, there's a lot that goes on this show before and after and
Sure.
and I'm thinking 10 steps ahead, but all I seen was those numbers every time you said those numbers, and you just look at those numbers and it keeps you right in the moment. And I focus on, I don't have to worry about the announcement the next show. I just focused on what was there, and it relaxed my whole body. I just felt my whole
it's
body
amazing.
relaxed.
It really is. And, I had gone to a seminar in Maryland, and this is one of the exercises we did. And I got to tell you, it's worked for me for a long time. And over 25 years, I've been doing it. I used to get bad panic and anxiety attacks. They crippled me. They really did. They almost prevented me from doing anything. And I just didn't want to live my life that way,
Yeah.
But,
and in the past we had Dr. Jeff Brandler on, and he did some breathing exercises. We have to get him back on again because, with COVID going back up again and schools in and moms and dads are home, trying to school their kids. Right. This is really important to do, even if it's 10 seconds. If you take those 10 seconds and picture that number in your mind, just like you told us,
right.
Just out of the moment for, like I said, all we need to get is out of that moment for that second to change our thinking and change our mind. You know what I mean? Right. And then we can focus better on the kids. We can focus better on our recovery. We can focus better on not wanting to take that drink or whatever, or pick up that drug. Or here's the classic one, Podfather. When we make a decision, we don't want to go to a meeting. We don't want to get on Zoom. We don't want to drive to a meeting. When we make that decision to go to a meeting, right? And that meeting was meant for us to be there, wasn't it? When you
I agree.
You don't want to go. I mean, that's just changing your thinking completely. And when you walk out of that meeting, how good do you feel? You know, how many times has that happened? Probably countless times for me anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have my group, my home group, Sunday night meeting, the Shoba group. We're going there for over 32 years anyway. And it's just great. We had to move. They moved from one location to another years ago. And some of the same people that I first met when I came in here, Rainey, Jim W., they're still there.
Yeah.
And a couple of Mikes I know that go there. But yeah, when I'm there, I'm just at ease. And I don't sit up front because I usually get there right around 7 when it starts, but I sit in the back and I just observe and pay attention, and I do some breathing exercises. And I got to tell you, I leave there. It's a Sunday night. I'm on top of the world.
Mm-hmm. And Podfather, we're going to close here in a second, but I want to just I just want to kind of piggyback of what you said. I sit in a meeting and I meditate and kind of feel better. There's times when I've been to a meeting that I either don't want to be there, or I have things going on, or whatever the case may be. And sometimes you can't stay present in the meeting. You know what I mean? And especially in early recovery too, it happened, but it still happens once in a while. That's a great technique, just to stay in the moment and to listen to that speaker, because that speaker or that chairperson or whoever's talking took time out of their busy day also to be there. You know what I mean? And for me not to respect that, for me just to be all over the place and be in the future and not listen to that message, and maybe if that message was something good that would have helped me out through the rest of the day and I'm missing it, that's another good technique to use when you're in meetings, because meetings can be stressful too. So
well, life can be stressful, but I'll say one thing. I could never give back to the program of AA what it's given to me. Never. I could never do it. And the more I read the steps, the big book, how it works, the family afterwards, whatever I'm reading, I'm so into it, but I get a comfort. I get a silence, just a very comfortable feeling knowing that I'm part of this and that I get it. And this has helped me to get where I am today. And it was so basic. It was so simple. They say this is a simple program for complicated people, and that's a fact.
That is. Yeah.
But I know it's time to close it.
Yeah. Podfather, great meeting. It was a meeting basically. For me, it was anyways. But great show, Podfather. And if I just want to remind everybody, go back to those Jeff Brandler shows. Go back and listen to them, and let it, and listen to this show again if you're in a tight spot. This stuff will work. Thank you, Podfather.
Hey, friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. I am the Podfather.
Jersey Ed. Stay sober, everybody.